Welcome to the Jaguar Podcast, a show where we discuss all things related to Duval County's finest NFL football team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Move 42, set, what?
Duval, baby!
Hey everybody, this is Andrew and welcome to episode 62 of the Jaguar Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing Shad Khan's decision to essentially have two games next season played in London. So before we jump into it though, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. You know, always leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel about these episodes. And also leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It always helps me with my production of these episodes and the content as well. So that'd be much appreciated. All right, so let's jump into this decision. I want to start off with I'm not a fan of this decision. I don't think it's good that we're playing two home games, in London for the 2020 season. I'll be, in full disclosure, I live in Virginia. I don't live in Jacksonville. I'm also not a season ticket holder, but I feel like the season ticket holders are really getting screwed by this decision. I did go to one game, the season opener in 2019. I think it was Kansas City and Jacksonville. Man, it was like in September. It was just brutal. It was really hot. We were burning up in the stadium. And I just have to admit that the fan experience at TIA Bank field was not good. There just wasn't much coverage from the sun. They're also just, when we were, out of the sun, in the concessions area, there was, coverage from the sun and protection, but there were fans. There was literally no cold air coming from these fans, so it was extremely hot. People were passing out left and right, and it just was not a pleasant experience. I don't think I ever, sweat so much in my life, and it just wasn't pleasant. So I don't know if I'd go back, and I think in order to change that, Shad Khan needs to make some really quick modifications to the stadium. I feel like we definitely need that, and the season ticket holders need it as well, because I just don't see the incentive to wanna buy season tickets if the fan experience is terrible. Also I feel like Shad Khan is kind of taking a page out of the Dan Snyder playbook. And for those of you who don't know Dan Snyder, he's the owner of the Washington Redskins. He's not well liked. There's issues now with the stadium, Washington Redskins Stadium. And that stadium, FedEx Field, has a really bad fan experience as well. Not a lot of people like trekking down to Landover to watch the Washington Redskins. And I feel like, this could be a potential similar situation, right? But I won't go, too far off on a tangent with the Washington Redskins, but I feel like Shad Khan's going down a very similar path. And I also feel like, this decision to bring those games to London instead of playing them in Jacksonville is really going to hurt the local economy. Business owners are getting screwed by that, because that's really a huge help to their, businesses. And when I was down there again last September, Jacksonville just seemed like a ghost town during the day. It just doesn't seem like there was much going on there. So I definitely felt like when the game was being played, there was a lot more activity, a lot more business coming into the town. And I definitely think that, if they play those two games in London, Jacksonville economy is definitely going to take a hit. There were, I believe there was an announcement by the Jacksonville mayor, Lenny Curry. He said that, Shad Khan's development company, I think it's called like Iguana Development. I'm sure I got that name wrong, but, they'll be partnering together to do, I believe, development of an area called Lot J. And this will essentially have hotels, some local entertainment, or at least more entertainment, and like some restaurants. So the plan is to hopefully, develop Jacksonville a little bit more around the stadium to bring in more money. And, I think that's a great idea, but, this project isn't slated to be completed until like 3 years from now. So I think in the near term, it's not going to really have much of an effect on the economy, since, this project's just not going to be done for another 3 years. So I feel like Shad really needs to make some improvements to the stadium like now. Get some coverage from the sun, especially in the months of August / September, just because it's so hot. I mean, it's just sweltering. So I'm sure he could find a way to do that. Obviously he's a billionaire and has some experience, with development. So I think that's an easy, modification to the stadium. Get some, cooling going on near the concession area, because it was very unpleasant. People shouldn't be passing out at the stadium. That's just not a good experience at all. So yeah, and I'm hoping that they bring those 2 games back, or I'm sorry, at least one of those games back to Jacksonville. I believe there is a local petition going on right now by Jacksonville business owners. They started a website, I believe it's called the Duval Coalition. So if you are interested in signing that petition to get, one of the games back in Jacksonville, I definitely look out for that website, and let your voice be heard. But yeah, I just think this is a really bad situation for, fans and season ticket holders. It's just not a good look. I also don't think it's a good situation for the players. I mean, traveling to London, that's a very long trip. There's a time difference. You have to get acclimated to the time change. I think, this team historically being over in London has had some, disciplinary problems over there. A couple players got arrested, I believe, in the last season, or it was like 2018 season. A couple players got arrested the night before the game. So, I don't know, how much value is really gained by having, these games over there in London. So that's just kind of how I feel. And they're going to play back-to-back games, so hopefully they get acclimated to the time change. But it's really going to be hard for the players. Maybe they put, those 2 games as like, teams that are not as difficult or not as good. I took a glance at the schedule for next year, and it's a doozy. There's a lot of really good teams that we have to play. So I don't know, I feel bad for the Jacksonville season ticket holders, local businesses. This is definitely it's gonna have an effect, and I'm hoping that they can get that game back in Jacksonville. But let me know how you feel about this situation. Leave me a comment on the YouTube video or podcast episode. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a like if you enjoyed this video. Go Jags, and I'll see you next time.
Let me get that. JYD coming up with the big sack. Quarterbacks beware, we on the prowl. Game day night, you could hear it in our growl. Intimidation on to keep their hearts racing. Eating other teams live on TV front of the nation. Spectacular defensive scheme.
This episode is available on the Jaguar Podcast YouTube channel. So if you stop by, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like. Also, these episodes are available on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and other major podcast distributors as well. So if you don't mind, please leave me a review and some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, my Twitter handle is @JagWarPodcast. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. This is Andrew signing off. Cheers.